Academy of Balkan Dance and Culture, Dusha Balkana, Soul of the Balkans, are a Sydney-based dance ensemble under the directorship of Yorgo Kaporis. The group performs songs and dances from the Balkans, including Macedonia, Serbia, Greece, Bulgaria, Romania, and others, in order to preserve, conserve, and promote the diversity and traditions of the Balkans in Australia. The ensemble enjoys the cultural aspects and richness of Balkan society and culture, performing at festivals, private functions, and competitions all across Australia. Today we came to them to experience the Balkan culture.
My name is Yorgo Kaporis. I'm the choreographer and artistic director of the Australian Academy of Balkan Dance and Culture, Dusha Balkana, Soul of the Balkans.
Wow, that sounds so formal and so full on. Is that how it is, the dance group?
Yeah. So the formal name of the dance group is the Australian Academy of Balkan Dance and Culture, Dusha Balkana, Soul of the Balkans. But for short, we just call ourselves Dusha Balkana.
What was the idea behind creating this dance group?
So my whole idea was to create a dance group that integrated all the people from the Balkans without any political or religious condemnation whatsoever. It's about us being human beings first and respecting each other as human beings, regardless of what our background is.
And I think you've definitely reached it here.
Absolutely. Well, the great thing is with this group, I've got Greeks, Bulgarians, Serbians and Macedonians all dancing together. And traditionally in the Balkans, these are all people who are constantly fighting about whose border belongs to who, whose land belongs to who. This is our dance, this is our culture. And we've just, my whole thing was, my goodness, like for thousands of years this has been going on and I just wanted it to stop.
And I think you've definitely reached it. I mean, look around you. You've got all these girls from all different regions and backgrounds.
Absolutely. And the wonderful thing is we actually get to perform at all of those communities. Because we don't belong to a community group or a church group or anything, we're independent to perform wherever we want to. So we typically get invited by all those different nationalities to present dances from their regions.
So what would be an example of an event that you would attend?
So, for example, there's a Serbian festival in Darling Harbour every year, the Buddha's Birthday Festival in Darling Harbour every year. We perform at the Woodford Folk Festival in Queensland on a yearly basis. Typically, if there's a Macedonian function going on or Greek function, christenings, birthdays, weddings, all sorts of occasions.
I'm Jess. I've been with Dusha now for around 2 years and I've been dancing since probably before I was even walking properly. Yeah. It's been a long time.
Quite the dedication. What keeps you dedicated?
It's just the family, like it's keeping a community alive, it's keeping the spirit of each of our regions alive and kind of bringing that forward in an era where we're so bombarded by like social media and this huge environment where it's very hard, it's very easy to get lost in it all, and sometimes to feel part of that community, a sense of family is what keeps me here every week.
And what would your background be?
I'm Macedonian, yeah.
So you're keeping the cultures literally alive.
Yeah, I hope I am. It's something that it's very dear to my heart. My parents grew up dancing. My grandparents, my grandma still tells me stories from the villages and how she was wooing all the boys with her dancing. So it's something that it just keeps all the generations together. It bonds us. It's a great conversation point, and performing is so just energizing in a way, and it's just an excitement to be on stage.
I know it's a complete different feeling.
It is. It's so much adrenaline, but it's amazing at the same time. It's no other experience.
So in front of us, there's quite a few different costumes, and it'll be interesting to find out where they're from and what do they mean. So could we start with your costume?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm wearing a costume from the shop region in Bulgaria. Very traditional costume that the men wear, and this is the summer costume. The different regions in the Balkans all have different costumes, and this is what identifies all the Balkan people, because you can look at a costume and say, oh, that comes from that region of a particular part of the Balkans. And Sara's wearing a costume from Kyustendil. Now, Kyustendil is a region in Bulgaria, but we've got to remember, just because there's borders now in particular regions, those borders haven't always existed. So they wear this costume in Serbian regions as well, and also in Macedonian regions too. Next region, we've got Natasha wearing a costume from Pčinje and Vransko Polje. And this is a region in Serbia, which is very, very particular for this sort of costume.
So I see the colouring is also quite specific. Is that done for a reason?
That's the region. So again, whatever materials people had available during those times, they would be the colours. Now also, a lot of these colours that you see in these costumes are quite modern colours. In the Balkans, a lot of the regions in the Balkans were under Ottoman occupation for between 400 and 500 years. And the Ottomans didn't allow use of purples, pinks, or very vibrant colours. So what the people would do, and this is a very, very typical village costume, you can see the reds, the very earthy colours with the pops of yellow to make it stand out a little bit more.
Absolutely. Even with those bare colours, it's absolutely vibrant and standing out.
Yeah, absolutely. Next, we've got Jessica wearing a Macedonian costume from Debar. Now, this is a bridal costume, and you can see it's a bridal costume because it is so ordained and so bright. And this is obviously the brides would prepare these costumes for years before they even get married. and they always keep on adding embroidery and stuff on there to show their handiwork and to show a potential husband how good of a wife they're going to be.
It's interesting how the wedding costume is not white as what we're used to in the Western culture.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's very much a Western conception that the bride's supposed to be wearing white. In the Balkans, the bride wears as many bright colours as she can, and they always wear a lot of coins as well as part of their dowry to show how wealthy the family potentially is. This costume is from the Shop region in Bulgaria. Now, you can see all the gold. All of this typically is called sirma. And sirma means basically gold wire. These are very rich costumes, and this is a city costume. So you'd find this particularly in the regions of Sofia, the capital of Bulgaria. Reason being, the people who lived in the cities were often much wealthier because they could afford to live in the cities. So they would show off costumes and show off their wealth by putting gold thread through the costuming. Now, these are obviously imitations, so that's not gold thread, it's all gold sequins, but that's the representation of what that is. This is another Macedonian costume, and this is particular from the regions of Aegean Macedonia. So around Aegean Macedonia, very, very typical, the top bit, and they'd all wear different colours, is called a kurdia, and then obviously the shirts and aprons and everything else underneath. This is also typically a bridal costume as well. So again, representing bright colours to show, hey, look how happy I am, even though they're sad that they're leaving their mother. Look how sad she is, she's leaving her mother. Very sad. Here we've got a lovely costume from Severnyaška, Bulgaria, which is northern Bulgaria. So very typically, this costume is quite Romanian in look and style because it's right up near the Romanian border. So again, very light summer costume, and typically the girls in these costumes, can you do a spin for us so you can see how it all flares out? Spin again, Dal. Yep, so it's that whole show-offy thing of the more pleats the skirt bit has got, the higher it comes up to spin, and it, again, show-off dances to the boys, so they spin and spin and spin to say, hey, look, I'm not dizzy at all. Ooh. I know. This is also from the Shop region in Bulgaria, but you can see compared to the gold one how different it is again. So this goes slightly outside of the city, but again, the important things in these costumes are the embroideries. The embroideries in the Balkans is like a coat of arms, again for particular regions and particular villages. So when you look at an embroidery, you can actually look at it and go, that's from this region of Serbia or this region of Macedonia, Bulgaria, so on and so forth.
Is the belt supposed to mean anything at all?
Again, it's just ornamentation and show off. You've got to remember that in the old days, a lot of these costumes would have been handmade by the girls themselves. So they'd be sitting for hours at what's called a sedenka. So all the girls in the village would come and gather all together and knit and sew and embroider and gossip and find out who's going to marry who.
So it's like a girls' night sort of thing.
Total girls' night. And the last costume we've got here is from Thrace. Now, Thrace is in Greece and also in Bulgaria. Again, very, very typical. This is where we start seeing purple come out in these costumes. So the Thracians and the Turks quite often had good trade and barter going on. They had very fertile lands in Thrace. So the Ottomans allowed them to use the purples and the royal colours because of the trade and everything. Can you turn around so they can see the back of that? So you can see just all the ornamentation there. The skirt's actually folded up and back, so it creates all these layers that come down, which again is very, very typical for the region.
And I noticed that the shoes are also quite specific, so really different from any other cultures.
Yeah, I quite honestly, I think in the Balkans, so Greece, Macedonia, Bulgaria, Serbia, Croatia. What else, girls? Bosnia, Herzegovina, all those regions are the only regions that wear this specific type of shoe. So in Greece, they're called a tsarouchi, In Macedonia, they're called opinci. In Serbia, they're called opanke. And in Bulgaria, they're called crvuli. But they're all essentially the same sort of shoe, but different styles again according to whichever region you're from.
How do you get costumes?
It's difficult for us here in Australia, so I actually have made quite a few of these costumes that you see here.
Was it a girls' night as well?
Absolutely, totally was. But a lot of the costumes that are quite intricate and quite embroidered, we get from overseas. So if we go from here, the costume that Sara's wearing here, the Kustendil costume, this particular costume is over 150 years old. So I sourced them from there, and it's got the original sirma on there. And these are heavy. Like, this costume weighs about 20 kilos.
And you said it's a summer costume.
This is a summer costume. Welcome to the Balkans. Again, the costume that Natasha is wearing, very traditional Serbian, and we got these from overseas because we got them for a really good price. Oh. Very good, right? Again, from overseas, and you can see because they're really intricate, and even though they're quite machine embroidered, they're still done in the very, very traditional style. Overseas, again with the shop score, then we go over to those ones that they're the ones I made. I thought I was quite clever with them, but anyway. This one's from overseas again, and then I made the ones on the end as well.
And also, you did say that all the intricate designs and all that was all really specific to the regions.
Yes.
So now when creating the costumes, is it just a replica or is it still trying to keep close to those customs?
We try to keep close to the customs, but the dancing we do is so vigorous and so fast. I mean, imagine wearing a 20-kilo costume doing a performance. It's quite difficult. So what's happening now is there's replicas that are made specifically for stage and performing where they're easy to put on, easy to take off, and nice, light, breathable materials.
Which is reasonable.
Absolutely, and especially in Australian heat when we perform in summer, it's a bit of a godsend as well.
after viewing the dances, I thought, why not actually try myself at dancing them?
We're going to teach you a dance called tresenica.
Okay.
Which means da se tresiš means to shake yourself. So this dance is performed during the Easter fasting period, where everyone cleans the houses and they'd gather in the village square to shake off all the dust in preparation for the new light.
So, I'm going to be preparing for the new light.
Absolutely.
Let's do this.
So, hands are up and the feet are doing touch, 2, 3, 4.
Touch, 2, 3, 4. Does it matter how high my hands are?
No.
Okay.
But just shake the cloth so you can get rid
Oh,
of all
okay.
the
So I
dust.
forgot about the shaking.
Yeah.